This is the most consequential thing that's happened in the world in terms of war and peace since World War II.
US and Russia are standing eye to eye over Ukraine for several months, with none ready to blink. While the big boys are talking and sparring, people are nervous. As the specter of a Russia versus West war looms, here's all you need to know about the Ukraine crisis. First, the geography. Ukraine sits sandwiched between Russia on one side, Belarus to the north, and the rest of Europe on the other side. Its location has made the former Soviet Republic a front line for Big Russia versus the West battle. But what is the issue? The US and the West fear Russia is preparing to invade Ukraine. Russia has amassed over 100,000 soldiers on its border with Ukraine. Reports say that Russia has deployed tanks, missiles, and heavy artillery.
I think he still does not want any full-blown war, number one. Number two, do I think he'll test the West, test the United States and NATO as significantly as he can? Yes, I think he will. But I think he'll pay a serious and dear price for it that he doesn't think now will cost him what it's going to cost him. And I think he'll regret having done it.
Why? Putin demands that the West pledge never to let Ukraine join NATO and also to stop eastward expansion of the military alliance, a demand that has flatly been rejected by the West. What has also rung alarm bells in the West is that Russia has sent an unspecified number of troops from the country's far east to its ally Belarus, which also shares a border with Ukraine for major war games next month. Now, a look at Russia-Ukraine history to understand the present. Ukraine was part of the Soviet Union before its collapse, and Russia still wants to play Big Brother, not ready to let Kiev tilt westwards. Friction started in 2013 when pro-Russia Ukraine government signed a deal with Moscow, which led to massive protests in Ukraine over perceived surrender to Russia. The pro-Russia government was kicked out after months of protests, and a new government signed a deal with the EU. Hitting back in 2014, Putin sent troops into Crimea, a peninsula that has been a part of Ukraine since the 1950s. Russia annexed Crimea amid howls and protests from Ukraine and West. Russia has also been accused of aiding the separatist rebels in eastern Ukraine with troops and weapons. Ukraine has all along got military and monetary support from NATO and West. Obviously, Putin didn't like it and wants to stop Ukraine from joining NATO or EU. NATO is a military alliance formed by the Western countries after World War II to band together against Soviet Union. What is the current state of play? US and EU have threatened tough sanctions against Russia if Putin invades Ukraine. US and Russia have held several rounds of talks, but to no avail.
We do expect to be in touch with the Russian Federation again in the coming days to determine when and how this conversation will go forward.
Biden and Putin have spoken too, but have found no common ground yet. While the big boys are refusing to budge, Ukrainians are living in fear.